The year is 2019, a year after I finished Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. I decided to try it again though. At that time, replaying a game was not something I typically did. In my eyes, video games were disposable, something you finish once and then move on. But I decided to give this game another shot, because I remembered how good it was. Well, that playthrough lasted a month and a half, and then I abandoned it in the second chapter. A year later, some people in China decided to eat bats, and suddenly I had a lot of free time. When fate sends a sign, it means something, right? So the only logical step was to indulge in NBA 2K20 for 2 months, because why go out there and hustle for a better job when you can drown your sorrow with meaningless progression on an annual video game like 2K? Because it's like they said, my mama raised no fool, only an idiot. After I managed to wean myself off 2K, I remembered that I had a Red Dead save that I hadn't finished. This led me to reflect on my previous experience with the game. After my yearly viewing of the good, the bad, and the ugly, I figured it would be a good time to give the game another shot. Long story short, I got addicted. 500 hours later, it's the best game of all time. And it changed not only the way I view the world, but also how I perceive video games. At this point, if Arthur Morgan knocked on my door and told me Dutch had a plan, I'd be halfway to robbing a train while screaming, "May I stand unshaken."
You're fucking gay! As in homosexual!
This time around, I decided to take my time, enjoy, explore, do side missions, and suddenly it felt like I was playing a completely new game. I discovered aspects of the game that I hadn't even imagined before. It was a whole new experience. In my first playthrough, I focused more on the main story, not so much on exploring the world. But this time, I flipped that around. I found dozens of animals I didn't know existed, stumbled across random interactions that had me questioning if this was still a game about cowboys, and uncovered more mysteries than I have reasons to get out of bed in the morning. Basically, it gave me lumbago from all the sitting around playing. But most importantly, I gained a deeper understanding of the world within this incredible game. This experience changed how I think about video games. Instead of hopping from one title to the next, I realized there were a lot of quality games I hadn't really scratched the surface of. By playing them again, with a slightly different approach, it felt like I was playing an entirely new game. Like reheating pizza. It's somehow better the second time. How could I have thought I had finished Red Dead when I hadn't even explored New Austin? When I discovered there was another town west of Armadillo, I was stunned, honestly. It felt like discovering an extra nugget in your order. Pure happiness. With that mindset and my natural stinginess, I decided to try a different approach to gaming. It didn't hurt that there weren't any new releases that really grabbed my attention, so I went back to older titles I loved, like Shadow of War and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and this time I explored them in their full, complete form. It was an incredible experience because even though I had already spent dozens of hours on these games, I was now experiencing them in a completely different way, like I had just bought them again. And when new games are priced at $70 for a half-finished product, and the cost of gaming is skyrocketing to the point where it feels like paying child support, going back to games I had already bought seemed like a perfect alternative, because who needs new games when I can barely afford rent, right? Revisiting a game gives it a second life. You often miss details, secrets, or experiences on your first playthrough, especially if you're rushing through it. Playing again allows you to dive deeper into the game world, explore what you may have overlooked, and truly appreciate the craftsmanship and world building. You're no longer just following the main storyline. Instead, you're nestling the experience, exploring every nook and cranny. This makes the game feel fresh, offering a new layer of enjoyment that many players overlook in the rush to finish and move on. This realization extended beyond just Red Dead Redemption 2. I started to see how the broader gaming industry's trends were influencing my experience. Today's games are often marketed aggressively, pushing players to constantly seek out the latest releases rather than fully enjoying and exploring what they already have. The constant hype and cycle of new titles have created a culture where finishing a game quickly and moving on is the norm, rather than deeply engaging with it. I didn't understand why until now. I hadn't thought about something as simple as playing the games I really liked again. Then it hit me. This addiction to being in the news, trendy. I felt like a TikTok girl. I felt cheated. I let the hype dictate what to play.
Do you really believe your own hype that much?
I am the hype!
every new trailer for a half-baked game, or with every new Assassin's Creed that doesn't renew anything from the previous one, I felt the hype of I have to play this. It became a need. I wanted to know what the new game was about. I wanted to finish it before everyone else. And when that happened, and the dopamine just disappeared, I moved on to the next experience and to the next conquest. But unlike Alexander the Great, who really achieved things in his life, I'm just a lazy and simple donkey who the only thing I'm conquering is my snack drawer. The thing is, game companies know exactly what they're doing. They've got entire departments whose job is to make sure we stay addicted to buying their new releases. Marketing teams spend millions hyping up these games, knowing full well that the game isn't even finished yet. And we fall for it. They dangle shiny trailers and buzzwords in front of us, making us feel like we need the latest title, like we'll be missing out if we don't. It's all about getting us to spend more money. And bam, they got us. We're like cats chasing laser pointers, or like single moms chasing toxic men. There's a reason why we rarely see fully completed games at launch anymore. They want us hooked, pre-ordering, and buying DLCs. It's like they found a way to mix FOMO with video games, and it works. We're conditioned to chase that high over and over again, and most of the time, we're left with nothing but disappointment and an empty wallet. Worse yet, an empty soul. Video games used to be an experience that would accompany us for life. A passion, a form of media that shaped our personalities. But today we've become addicted to consumption, to brain rot, to a new video every few seconds on TikTok. We've forgotten what made the games we played in the past so good. This isn't just nostalgia talking. Back when we were kids, I almost couldn't jump from one game to another like we do today. Because we had the time but not the money, we would play one game for a long period of time. When you're limited like that, you can truly understand the beauty hidden behind a game, just like with women. As a kid, I played Pokemon Fire Red more times than I played with myself. And let me tell you, every time I played, I tried something different, but I still couldn't motivate myself to choose a starter other than Charmander. Sorry. But choosing between a fire-spitting lizard and some weed isn't really a competition. In general, my point is that nowadays, it's very easy to miss the real value of truly high-quality games. When you jump from game to game, or rush to finish a game because it's that time of year when the new 2K comes out, you don't really experience the story or the world that the developers wanted us to explore. You miss out on what they wanted to share with us, the journey they created. For me, the day I discovered how to sit back and enjoy my favorite games again was the day gaming changed for me. If you liked the video and for some reason want to hear me speak more, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to share in the comments which games gave you a completely different experience when you replayed them.